Imagine this. You wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat. Your heart pounds in your chest, and there's an unsettling sensation gnawing at your gut. It isn't fear, at least, not the way you'd expect. It's a deep, suffocating realization that you can't shake. You look around your room, and for a moment, everything feels alien, strange, as if your reality has cracked open and revealed something utterly terrifying. You sit up, your mind racing, trying to ground yourself in something familiar. But that's when the thought hits you, like a sharp, cold slap to your consciousness. What if life is nothing more than an elaborate lie? You've spent your entire existence pursuing goals that seemed so important: academic success, career advancement, relationships, stability. Yet, in this moment, they all feel hollow. Were they ever truly yours to begin with? Were you ever really living, or simply following a script written for you by others? And now, the more you think about it, the more the world around you starts to collapse in on itself. What if everything you thought you knew about life, about purpose, happiness, and meaning, was a mirage? What if this whole existence is just an intricate game we're all playing, and the rules are designed to keep us distracted, locked in a cage of our own making? For a fleeting second, you wish you could go back to being ignorant. To return to the blissful comfort of certainty, where everything had an answer and every moment had its place. But you know, deep down, that you can never unknow what you've just discovered. You're awake now, really awake. But the price of awakening isn't always worth the cost. This isn't just some existential crisis, a fleeting moment of doubt. No, this is the beginning of something much bigger, something far more unsettling. You've stumbled onto the great paradox of existence, the truth that no one ever talks about, the thing that keeps us all locked in a perpetual state of unease. What if the key to understanding life, to finding peace in this chaotic world, isn't in the things you've been taught to pursue, but in the very act of questioning everything? What if, just maybe, life isn't a puzzle to be solved, but a riddle to be experienced? You think about it, desperately trying to make sense of your thoughts. Every philosopher, every spiritual leader, every self-help guru tells you that meaning is something you must find, something you must earn. But what if they were all wrong? What if the very idea of figuring out life is the thing that's keeping you from actually living it? And there it is, the question that haunts you now, what if life isn't about figuring anything out? What if it's about letting go of the need to have all the answers, You've spent your entire life trying to crack the code, to climb the ladder, to find the ultimate truth. But what if, in doing so, you've missed the most profound realization of all, that life isn't meant to be solved? It's meant to be lived, messily, imperfectly, and without the need for an answer. But that's the contradiction, isn't it? We've been conditioned to think that to be happy, fulfilled, or successful, we need to have it all figured out. We need a plan, a strategy, a blueprint. And yet, the more we strive for these things, the further we seem to drift from the very essence of what it means to be alive. This is the great paradox that has eluded humanity for centuries, the thing that keeps us locked in an endless cycle of striving and failing, reaching and falling short. The more we seek answers, the more elusive they become. So, what now? Do you continue down this path, chasing after something that may never exist? Or do you dare to question everything you thought you knew, and, in doing so, unlock a deeper understanding of life? The truth may be more unsettling than you could ever imagine, but the only way out is through. The question now becomes, can you confront it? The moment you pose the question, what if life isn't about figuring anything out, you begin to unearth a truth buried deep within the human psyche, one that is not just unsettling, but foundational. It's a question that stirs the very core of what we think we know about our existence. And the answer lies within the intricate, often misunderstood layers of human psychology and philosophy. You see, the root of our obsession with figuring life out is not a simple matter of ambition or aspiration. It's far more insidious. It's rooted in a psychological and philosophical flaw that has been ingrained in us for centuries. One that tells us we are incomplete unless we have a clear direction, a sense of purpose, a plan to navigate the chaos of life. But where did this idea come from? Why are we so deeply entrenched in the belief that we need to figure it all out in order to be happy, fulfilled, or meaningful. The seeds of this obsession can be traced back to the birth of modern philosophy, with thinkers like René Descartes who, in his quest for certainty, proclaimed cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Descartes sought to strip away all doubt, all uncertainty, to find an unshakable foundation for knowledge. In his mind, if you could simply be sure of your thoughts, you could be sure of everything else. This relentless pursuit of certainty, of clarity, became the hallmark of Western thinking. And it gave birth to a deeply ingrained belief: the more you know, the more you can control your world. But that was only the beginning. Enter Friedrich Nietzsche, who would later dismantle the very foundation Descartes built. Nietzsche saw the endless striving for certainty as a fundamental error in how humans perceive their existence. For Nietzsche, life was not about finding absolute truths or mastering a set of rules. It was about embracing chaos, ambiguity, and the unknown. His concept of the will to power wasn't about gaining control, but about the ability to adapt, grow, and redefine oneself in the face of life's uncertainties. Nietzsche would argue that the true path to fulfillment lies not in solving life's puzzles, but in embracing the messiness of it all. In the same vein, the existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus challenged the very idea of a predefined purpose or meaning to life. Sartre famously declared that existence precedes essence, which means that we are born into a world devoid of inherent meaning and must create meaning for ourselves. For Sartre, the pressure to figure it all out is the very thing that robs us of true freedom. We are condemned to live without any preordained path, left to create our own identity, but with the freedom comes the weight of responsibility. There is no grand blueprint. There is no right way to live, only a vast, open canvas on which we are expected to draw our own picture. Yet, even in the midst of this liberating freedom, existential thinkers like Sartre and Camus grappled with the crushing isolation that comes with realizing there is no inherent meaning to life. It's a double-edged sword. The same freedom that offers boundless potential also leaves us adrift, without any comforting narratives to fall back on. This is where the paradox becomes painfully clear. We are free to live our lives however we choose, but we are also burdened with the realization that life is not a puzzle to solve, but a process to endure. This tension between freedom and existential despair can be seen in the work of Arthur Schopenhauer, who took a more pessimistic view of life's meaninglessness. Schopenhauer believed that the ultimate truth of human existence is suffering, a consequence of our ceaseless desires and the endless striving for unattainable goals. He argued that true peace could only be found in renouncing desire and surrendering the very need to figure life out. This radical acceptance of life's inherent suffering would later influence the thinking of Viktor Frankl, who, despite enduring the horrors of the Holocaust, found meaning in life through his ability to choose his response to suffering. Frankl's work highlights a crucial shift in perspective, that even in the face of unimaginable pain and loss, we still possess the agency to find meaning, not through the achievement of some grand goal, but through how we confront and navigate life's inherent uncertainties. For Frankl, the search for meaning isn't about figuring out the right answer. It's about the internal transformation that occurs when we stop looking for answers outside of ourselves and begin embracing the uncertainty of life. And yet, despite the wisdom of these great thinkers, the prevailing cultural narrative continues to encourage us to find a formula, a set of rules, a clear path that will give us control over our lives. Society, ever hungry for efficiency and productivity, pushes us toward a fixed notion of success. We are told that to be truly happy, we need to fulfill a specific set of goals, achieve certain milestones, and then, perhaps, we can find peace. But here's the cruel irony. The more we pursue clarity, the more we ignore the deeper truth that life is never fully clear. We live in a world that thrives on contradictions, on flux, and on the ever-present tension between certainty and chaos. And when we refuse to accept this, we unknowingly continue to enslave ourselves to a system of control that was never meant to provide true fulfillment. The problem isn't that we're trying to figure it all out. The problem is that in doing so, we miss the very essence of living, the ability to experience life as it is, unpredictable, messy, and paradoxical. And this, perhaps, is the root of all our existential pain. The pursuit of certainty is, in fact, the thing that keeps us from truly living. So, what now? How do we reconcile the desire for clarity with the inherent uncertainty of life? And, more importantly, how do we escape the psychological traps that bind us to the false belief that life can, or should, be figured out? As you reflect on the psychological and philosophical foundations of the pursuit for certainty, the implications of this drive begin to unfold in more subtle and insidious ways. You see, it isn't just about how we think about life, it's about how the constant striving for answers, for meaning, for control, silently shapes the very structure of our existence. The consequences are profound, and they extend far beyond our thoughts, subtly infiltrating our daily lives, our relationships, and even the way society operates as a whole. On a personal level, the consequences of this need to figure it out are felt in the very rhythms of our lives. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves caught in the cycle of seeking, always looking for the next goal, the next step that will bring us closer to understanding? Perhaps it's the next promotion, the next relationship, the next material possession, or the next achievement that promises to bring us the elusive clarity we crave. And yet, with each step we take, the feeling of fulfillment seems to slip further away. Psychologically, this constant pursuit of clarity, the need to figure it out, manifests in what we call cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance occurs when there is a conflict between our beliefs and our actions, creating an uncomfortable psychological tension. We know, on some level, that life is chaotic, unpredictable, and beyond our full comprehension. Yet, we are conditioned to believe that we should have it all figured out, so we push ourselves to meet these impossible expectations. When our reality doesn't align with this idealized version of life, we experience discomfort. But rather than confronting the discomfort, we try to solve it by finding more answers, setting more goals, or changing our circumstances in ways that don't address the underlying issue, the very belief that life can be reduced to a set of rules. This is not just a personal struggle, however. The societal consequences of this obsession with certainty are equally damaging. Modern culture has created a framework that rewards the pursuit of clarity, control, and achievement. From an early age, we're told that success is about knowing where you're going and how to get there. Education systems, corporate structures, and even social media reward those who seem to have it figured out, those who follow the script, set clear goals, and execute them flawlessly. But this framework doesn't leave room for the messiness of real life, the failures, the doubts, the unpredictability, or the constant flux of human experience. This societal pressure to figure it all out has led to a pervasive sense of inadequacy. More and more individuals, especially younger generations, feel an overwhelming sense of pressure to achieve in ways that are unrealistic and, ultimately, unattainable. The constant bombardment of success stories, of perfect lives displayed on social media, has intensified this feeling of needing to have everything under control. This creates an environment of relentless comparison, where individuals are constantly measuring themselves against an idealized version of life that, in truth, is a mere illusion. Neurologically, the brain's reward system is intricately involved in this process. Our brains are wired to seek certainty because it provides a sense of safety. Predictable outcomes reduce anxiety and help us feel in control. This is a basic survival mechanism. When we understand the world around us, we are better equipped to navigate it. But the reward system can be hijacked by the need for certainty. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation, is released when we achieve a goal or uncover an answer. This creates a feedback loop. The more we find answers, the more we crave them, and the more we pursue them, often at the expense of deeper, more meaningful experiences. But this reliance on certainty and answers comes with a cost. As we become more attached to our need for clarity, we begin to lose sight of the richness of life that lies beyond the neat, orderly frameworks we've built. The desire for certainty reduces the complexity of life to a simple formula, stripping away the beauty of ambiguity, of mystery, and of spontaneity. And in doing so, we become prisoners of our own mental constructs, unable to embrace life as it is, and all its uncertainty and fluidity. Culturally, this obsession with clarity also feeds into the industrial and consumerist systems that dominate modern society. The more we are encouraged to seek answers, the more we are encouraged to consume, whether it's through acquiring products, information, or experiences that promise to fill the gaps in our lives. The promise of certainty is now commodified. It is sold to us in the form of self-help books, online courses, and gurus who claim to have figured it all out. But no matter how much we buy, no matter how many answers we find, the cycle continues. The more we acquire, the more we are left wanting. The more we know, the more we realize we don't know. The unseen consequence of this is a collective disconnection from the true essence of life. We become so fixated on finding the right way to live, on achieving success, on acquiring knowledge, that we lose the ability to simply be. In the pursuit of answers, we miss the experience itself, the quiet moments of introspection, the spontaneous joys, the moments of uncertainty where true growth often occurs. This disconnection is not only personal but societal. The very systems designed to support human flourishing, the education system, the workplace, and the media, often serve to reinforce the belief that life is a puzzle to be solved. But what if, by continuing to live under this delusion, we are sacrificing something far more valuable, the ability to live authentically, to embrace the uncertainties of existence, and to experience life not as a problem to be solved, but as an ever-evolving journey to be fully lived? As you sit with these realizations, the question becomes unavoidable: what is the true cost of this pursuit for clarity and control? And more importantly, can we ever break free from the patterns we've been conditioned into? Now that you've recognized the profound consequences of our relentless pursuit of certainty, you stand at a crossroads. The question that has been gnawing at you since the beginning resurfaces: can you break free from the shackles of this search for answers, from the need to figure it out? It's a question that not only challenges you as an individual, but also the very foundations of modern culture. The belief that life can be controlled, understood, and fully explained is deeply entrenched in society. We are taught from an early age that there is a right way to live, a way to optimize every aspect of our existence, and a formula for success. But the very rigidity of these frameworks, these constructs of certainty and control, is what holds us back from living authentically. So, how do you escape this relentless cycle? How do you begin to question the very notion that life needs to be figured out at all? The answer isn't an easy one, but it lies in a radical shift of perspective, a rebellion against everything you've been conditioned to believe. The first step in this rebellion is embracing the unknown, not as a threat, but as an opportunity. This requires a complete rethinking of your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of avoiding the discomfort of ambiguity, you must learn to lean into it. This isn't easy, especially in a world that encourages certainty and clear answers. But it's the only way to begin to break free from the mental prison that keeps you trapped. Consider the lessons of Viktor Frankl, who found meaning not through the attainment of clarity, but through the acceptance of life's inherent suffering and uncertainty. Frankl, a man who endured the horrors of the Holocaust, came to understand that the search for meaning isn't about finding answers, it's about how we respond to the chaos and suffering that life throws at us. Frankl's key insight was that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. This shift in perspective, from seeking control over life to accepting the uncontrollable nature of existence, was the key to Frankl's survival and his later work in existential psychology. Frankl's rebellion against the search for certainty isn't about surrendering to hopelessness. It's about finding a deeper form of freedom. Freedom comes not from having all the answers, but from realizing that not knowing is not only okay, it's necessary for personal growth. It's only by embracing the mystery of life that we begin to experience it in its fullness. The second step in this rebellion is the radical acceptance of imperfection. As much as we crave clarity, as much as we want to tie everything up neatly with a bow, life is messy. And that messiness isn't something to fear, it's the very texture that makes life worth living. In this sense, rebellion doesn't mean rejecting all structure or discipline, it means rejecting the idea that perfection or ultimate understanding is possible. This is a lesson deeply rooted in the philosophy of Zen Buddhism, where the concept of wabi-sabi, the beauty in imperfection, offers a profound shift in perspective. Wabi-sabi invites us to embrace the flawed, the transient, and the incomplete aspects of life, recognizing that there is beauty in the imperfections that make us human. Consider the art of pottery in Japan, where the imperfections of the craft are celebrated rather than hidden. The technique of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold or lacquer, is a perfect metaphor for this rebellion. The cracks, the flaws, the breaks, these are not seen as weaknesses but as parts of the vessel's history, its unique story. In much the same way, embracing the imperfections of life allows us to live more authentically, to find beauty in the cracks and the chaos. But perhaps the most radical aspect of this rebellion lies in rejecting the idea that life must be lived according to a set of prescribed rules or ideals. The pursuit of a fixed, predictable path may bring temporary satisfaction, but it also limits the potential for true growth and self-discovery. To break free from the grip of certainty, you must be willing to let go of rigid expectations and allow yourself to explore life without a roadmap. This is where the example of the artist comes in. In creative fields, great artists, whether they are painters, writers, or musicians, are not bound by formulas or expectations. They are free to explore, to fail, to experiment, and to start over. The most profound works of art come not from a place of knowing exactly what will come next, but from a place of curiosity and vulnerability. In the same way, you must become the artist of your own life. You must be willing to create, to shape, and to explore, even if it means not knowing exactly what will come next. History is full of examples of individuals who, in embracing uncertainty and imperfection, broke free from the traditional constraints of society and achieved greatness. Think of the Renaissance artists, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, who, through their exploration of the unknown, pushed the boundaries of art, science, and philosophy. These individuals didn't conform to rigid systems of thought, they embraced uncertainty and questioned the prevailing wisdom of their time. In more recent history, innovators like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk embraced the unknown in their quests to revolutionize technology. Both of these visionaries faced enormous risks, failures, and uncertainties in their journeys. But they didn't shy away from the unknown. Instead, they welcomed it, using it as a catalyst for their creativity and innovation. This is the essence of rebellion, the willingness to step into the unknown, to reject the need for control, and to create a life that is uniquely yours, free from the constraints of societal expectations. Breaking free from the need to figure life out is not about abandoning goals or ambitions, it's about freeing yourself from the idea that those goals will ever bring you the ultimate clarity or meaning. Instead of seeking to solve life's mysteries, embrace them. Instead of looking for answers, open yourself to experience. And most importantly, instead of striving for certainty, allow yourself to live fully in the moment, imperfect, uncertain, and yet beautifully alive. The rebellion isn't a dramatic rejection of all that has come before. It's a quiet, profound shift in perspective, a recognition that life, in all its messiness and unpredictability, is not a puzzle to be solved but a story to be written. It's your story, and it's waiting to unfold in ways you've yet to imagine. The real question now is, are you ready to write it? As you move deeper into this journey of questioning, rebelling, and awakening, a deeper truth begins to reveal itself. It's a truth that transcends everything you've ever been taught about life, purpose, and meaning. It's not a truth that can be figured out or neatly packaged into a conclusion. No, this truth resists understanding in the traditional sense. It must be felt, lived, and experienced. In the end, the greatest realization is this: life itself is not a problem to be solved. It is an unfolding mystery, a dynamic experience that can never be fully captured, quantified, or understood in its entirety. To spend your days searching for an answer, for a final, defining truth that will give life its ultimate meaning, is to miss the point entirely. This is the ultimate paradox, the truth that shatters the very foundation of our need for certainty. The more we try to solve life, the more we miss its beauty. The more we seek to control it, the more we distance ourselves from the richness of the present moment. We live in a culture that encourages us to always be striving, always seeking, always achieving, and yet, the most profound experiences often come when we stop, when we surrender the need to figure it out, and simply be. You've learned by now that certainty is an illusion, a crutch that prevents us from embracing the full experience of being human. It keeps us locked in a cycle of endless striving, always chasing after the next goal, the next answer, the next breakthrough. But in doing so, we miss the truth that's right in front of us. Life is not about achieving some final state of knowledge, but about being present in every moment. At the core of this realization is an idea that has been echoed by many great thinkers, Sartre, Frankl, even the Buddha, ***, that true freedom comes not from the absence of uncertainty, but from our ability to embrace it ***. When you stop trying to control life and allow yourself to experience it in its raw, unfiltered form, you discover that the chaos, the uncertainty, and the imperfection are not threats. They are the very things that make life worth living. But how do you embody this truth? How do you live in a world that still tells you to figure things out, to have a plan, to achieve your goals? The answer lies in the ability to shift your focus from the destination to the journey. The ultimate truth is that life is not a race, not a competition, and certainly not a puzzle to be solved. It is a series of moments, fleeting and precious, and it is only when you embrace the impermanence of each moment that you truly begin to live. There is a freedom in surrendering the need to have all the answers. It is a freedom that cannot be found in books, in achievements, or in success, but only in your willingness to release the tight grip you have on life's outcomes. This isn't about giving up or resigning yourself to a life of passivity, it's about finding peace in the uncertainty. It's about being fully alive, fully engaged, without the constant pressure to figure it out. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke captured this beautifully when he wrote, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves." Live the questions now. This is not a call to passivity, but to an active engagement with the mystery of life. The questions, the doubts, the uncertainties, these are not obstacles to be overcome, but gateways to a deeper experience of being. And in this realization, you find the profound, liberating truth, ***, you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be in control, ***. Life is not about arriving at a final answer, but about embracing the endless unfolding of the present moment, as it is, imperfect, unpredictable, and always evolving. Now, the world looks different. The pressure to be something, to achieve something, to reach some predefined goal evaporates. In its place is a freedom to simply be. To be present in the now, to experience life with all its messiness and beauty. To be at peace with not knowing, and to revel in the endless possibilities that uncertainty offers. And in this freedom, you find meaning, not in the answers, but in the questions. Not in the certainty, but in the ambiguity. Not in the destination, but in the journey itself. This, then, is the ultimate truth, ***. Life is not something to be figured out. It is something to be lived, ***, and when you embrace it in all its complexity, you discover a deeper meaning than you could ever have imagined. As the final scene plays out in your mind, of you standing on a quiet hill, watching the sun dip below the horizon, knowing that you have finally freed yourself from the relentless need for certainty, you realize that, for the first time, you are truly alive. In that moment, you understand, the journey was always the answer. And with that, you take a deep breath and embrace the unknown. For it is in the unknown that life's truest beauty lies.